Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today is a Thrifty Canucks video. Yay! And today we get to have a little bit of fun with our new Kim's Thriftees, because as I said, just like Taylor Swift can have Swifties, Kim can have Thrifties. So I will leave a link to the full video below of what Thriftees, Kim's Thriftees are and what a Thriftees box is. So you'll have to click on the link in the description to get all of the information. But just to give you a quick rundown, the Thriftees are people who have purchased an empty box from me, and however long they want to take to fill it, they will be offered different things from the items that I've thrifted, and in different portions, and you'll see that throughout the video. And they can add it to their box or pass on it and pick other things, because there'll be many things that they get out of today's video. Excuse me. And then they would go on to the next video until their box is full. However, in between, I'm going to have what I call de-stash for the thrifty boxes. And so I will be destashing some of the items that I have a surplus of, and they will have dibs on those things to go in their box as well. And then as I do different videos, if I'm working with certain products, if I have an overload of it, I might say, Thrifties, if you want to take advantage of this, I can offer you 2 yards or a piece or a page, whatever it is that I'm working with. So every person is different with Thriftees, they may not like certain colors, they may not like certain styles, certain things. That's fine. It's however they want to fill the box, and once the box is full, it gets shipped out to them. So you can get more information in the video description, or in the description you'll find the video to the Thriftees box and Kim's Thriftees, and you can join. However, I'm only taking 4 people at a time. I have 3 and 1 on the fence that I'm still waiting to hear from, that is starting today. And if that person doesn't join, then I will still offer it as another one and you can catch up. For my current Thriftees that are all set up already, you can choose any items that you want throughout the video and just leave a comment below. You can leave me several comments, that's fine. I do suggest you take notes and keep track of the dates of the videos, because in the description box of the video, I post the date that I actually post the video. And you have a maximum of 2 weeks to make a decision on whether you want to add something to your box. Once you've added it to your box, it can't come out. That's why I'm giving you 2 weeks to really make that decision of whether or not you want it. But there's going to be stuff coming all the time. You're going to love these boxes so much. You're going to want to fill one really quick so you can purchase another one. That's my plan. And this helps me to de-stash my stuff. And it also helps to keep products moving, and so that I can shop. So I want to be able to shop. I want to offer you these items at a super ridiculous price. And I want to reduce my stash. So those are the reasons why I'm doing this. Now I can only take 4 at a time, and unfortunately at this time it's only available for Canadians. Whether you get on in this, are in this 4 that's here now, in order to join or be on the waiting list, I recommend you go back to that video and put your name on the waiting list. Or leave a comment on that video so that I can keep track of you that way. If you are from outside of Canada and you still want to be on the waiting list in case things change, because you know why I'm not doing this, because of tariffs and unrest and things that are going on, it's better to just wait it out, and then once things are easier going, we can start with the American waiting list and any other countries. So right now it's just open for Canadians, but if you are Canadian, do put your name on the list. And it would be great if you guys would tell me if you're American or Canadian, so I don't have to figure that out and chase all over to find out. So I know whether or not, which list I'm putting you on. But now we can carry on and go forward. So Thriftees, if you have something that you want, leave a comment below and it will get it added to your box. When I add it to your box, I will actually say added to your box on the comment. So I will not comment till I've actually put it in your box. That's how I know it's done. That's how you know it's done. keep notes. I won't be saying this every video, so unless I get somebody else that's new, but you should keep notes, keep track of the date, what you've bought or picked out, and kind of the quantity, so you know, and the colors, however it works for you. So the first things are not thrifty items. These are from the dollar store. And I bought these at our Dollarama store in case you've ever wondered about some of these organizers that they have. Because this comes folded like this. They show you a little picture. I threw the packaging out, sorry. They show you a little picture, and then you've got to decide whether the size, you know, because you're doing it out of your head and thinking of how it's going to look and where it's going to fit. So I bought 2 of them to show you, and I'll give you my review on them before I put them away. So they were both the same price. I think they were $2.75 each. This one has 12 pockets, and it just, you know, they're made to hold things like socks and underwear in your drawers, but I just thought, well, maybe they'd be handy to use for, you know, some of our stuff, our ephemera and stuff. But this one I automatically didn't like because you cannot open these slots too easy. I thought I could put postcards. I still have Caroline's stuff sitting here on the counter, so I'm still not in my studio. I thought I could put postcards in here, like ephemera type stuff, but it's really wonky donkey, so you know, maybe I'll use it for some scraps or something. I'll figure that out. But I wouldn't buy another one of this for sure. And then this one comes like this in the package. It's like a long strip. And again, it was $2.75. Get that out of my way. And when you open it up or unfold it in the package, it has a zipper at the bottom. So you zip it up, and that's what makes your square. There's cardboard inserts inside here. And this gives you 6 pockets. So it's a little bit wonky because, you know, it's new. It hasn't been stretched to the maximum. But I did take the postcards and, again, stuck them in here. And this is a little bit tight, but not bad. And so you could use this to put a lot of ephemera in these little pockets. I mean, they do slip through on the bottom if you don't have enough, I would imagine. But I think this is something I will use to hold like greeting cards with matching envelopes because I get so many of them. And so it's kind of nice to have them all in a little, you know, one container that I can pick up and work with it like that. So I give this one a thumbs up. I think this one is certainly doable, you know, depending on what you're using it for. You might have those different ephemera packs that you buy. You know, there's little sticker packs. They would all fit in these little slots very nicely. You know, if you don't mind the height thing, you can also have them standing up and have something bigger. I think it's about 5.75 inches. 5.75, I think, is what it is. Well, it says 6, but it's really not. Yeah, because this is under 6, so it's a little bit tight. But it may be that I'm just not pulling and stretching it out enough. I don't know, but yeah, it's about 5.5 to 6 inches that would fit in here nicely. So I give this one a thumbs up. I will definitely use this one. So that was my $2 store items, and then, because I want to get serious, I did stop at Michael's because I can't wait. Otherwise, I would have bought it somewhere else. I did buy the foam felting and the felting needles to get started doing some felting. I figure I'll do a couple of little tutorials online. And it's not that I want to get into felting. I think I made, it was supposed to be a heart, but it was kind of an oblong looking ball that had 2 bumps on it, so it didn't quite get heart shaped. And I remember by the time I was done, my hands were hurting and I didn't like it. So I don't imagine, and I don't know where the needle went. I think somebody loaned me a needle, and it didn't even have one of these. It was just a little metal, sort of like a Allen key type thing, but sharp. And so by the time I was done, my hand was hurting. I didn't like it. But I watched somebody online use this needle and the wool roving to enhance a piece of linen, where they just pushed it into the linen a little bit and then stitched it. So that's kind of what I'm going with. This was about $8 for the kit. You know, I'm sure I could get the needles cheaper somewhere else, but it was for what I want. You know, it's good enough, and I got to use a 30% off coupon, so I think I paid around $6 for it. But that was my other purchase, because I'm getting serious into this needle. Well, not into needle felting, into felting, working with felt. So here comes the real goods. So I've got 2 in red. I have 2 in blue, and I have 2 in this, I'm calling it an antique gold. I don't know how it's showing up on the screen here, but these are lovely fibers. Now somebody had started this roll, I think, yes. So it's a lovely fiber. It is a nice weight. So this is the type of stuff I want to needle felt or needle with as well, to just stick it into the linen and then do some slow stitching with it from there. But it's a beautiful weight for making tassels, to use for trimming on the edges of journals. I'm going to get a lot of use out of these, and the colors are beautiful that I picked up. So I have these 3 colors, and if any of my thrifties want some of this, it'll be in 5-yard lots. Now, you don't have to take all 3 colors, of course. You can say you only want the turquoise, or you only want the red, or you want them all. It's entirely up to you. So Thriftees, you know, take a look. This is one of the items that I'm offering you. I paid about $1 a roll. So it was a fair price. I always pick this up when I see it. You know, when I was in Michael's yesterday, I gasped a few times at the prices of some of their yarns. Are very, very expensive. They're beautiful, just beautiful, and probably not stuff that you can easily source through the thrift shops, but still, it just seemed like an awful lot of money to spend for wool. I guess depending on the project you're working on, but yeah, it was way different than what we get at the thrift shop, that's for sure. There's just no guarantee. But when I see this, I pick it up because I know, you know, there's going to come a time where it's not going to be available anymore, and the only place you'll ever be able to find it is in my studio. So Thrifties, if you want 5 yards of any of the colors, just let me know and I will put it to your box. So got to get that out of the way. Oh, I have so much stuff here to show you. And I do have a best for the last today again as well. Okay, so this one was at the same thrift shop. It's green. It is very, very green. I don't know how much the green is showing up on there, but it is super green. It is a curtain. And I bought it because, like, these flowers, you can cut them out. It'll be painstaking to cut out, but you certainly can cut them out for slow stitching, which is fun. And there's lots. And also, like, this part here is raised. And what I want to do, if I use this in slow stitching, or if I use it as a journal cover, it's quite green, is I want to fill this in with beads and sequins in maybe like a pink or an orange or a purple or something, and then calm down these and stitch them down by adding some beads into each one of these little petals. If you can see that. And so I will bring you along when I get to work on that, whenever that is. But it also comes with this beautiful trim. So it's, I would cut the trim off, probably just below the flowers, the stems of the flowers, to use separately. I don't think I would use this as a whole piece to make a journal cover, if you can imagine a journal cover. It's a little bit too much green for me, but I see using this in small doses. And in the case of this green, I would take some alcohol inks, or just make a little concoction of a dye of some kind, and I would maybe spray it with some forest green and some olive green, and and maybe other colors too, to give it a more mottled look, so it's not quite so green. But there might be opportunities where I want this color, and in small doses, it's kind of nice. I don't find it too much. I mean, I like it, but I just don't like a lot of it. So this is one of the things for Thrifties too, if you want. Now, when I'm cutting fabrics, I said it would be about a 12 to 15 inch piece. So 12 inches would be a little bit longer than what you see here, or taller, and then it would be about 15 inches. Now this is about 12, it's about 20 inches. You know, for the sake of cutting, I am not going to short you on a few inches. This is pretty much what you will get, is this piece here, and then you'll get that amount of trim. So it'll be a little bit more than what I normally would cut, but I always try to guarantee at least 15 by 12, because then you have a journal cover. Maybe you want to do a couple of pockets, and maybe you want to do, you know, some other snippets and trims and stuff. So again, if you want this, let me know. Just call it bright green tablecloth, or bright green fabric, and I will cut you a piece. All of this will get pre-cut anyway and put into a basket. Like I said, Thrifties, you have 2 weeks to make a decision on it. Oh boy, I'm running out of room already. I'm gonna have an avalanche here. Then I really hit the jackpot in another thrift shop. Somebody must have been getting rid of a lot of sewing stuff. It looked like it had been picked over pretty good, but I could tell it was definitely all from the same person, because you don't always see this flood of the same kind of stuff all at one time. So you know that it's come from somebody's stash. So I picked up 2 of these quilting squares. This one's a 9 by 9. It always has that 1/2 inch extra on there. This one was $2. And this is a 12 by 12 with that extra little 1/2 inch in the orange there. You see it's a 1/2 inch. This one's a Fiskars. This one was $3. So it's like, yeah, of course, because I have a couple of really big ones that I paid a lot of money for. And then I got a couple smaller ones for Christmas. So yeah, my collection is getting nice. I'm really happy about it. But yeah, if you see these at those kind of prices, you want to grab them, because if you go shopping for these in the store, you'll have a rude awakening when you find out how much they are. So I'm happy about that for sure. Oh yeah, my spot here is really crazy. So no, Thrifties, that's not going in your box. Then I got these, and I got 8 of them for $5. So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. They are, I guess, placemats, and they look like they're in very good shape, not used. You know, I haven't checked them over completely, but 8 of them for $5 I thought was pretty good. What's nice about this is you can use it as an overlay. You could cut this into pieces. You can use it for snippets. You could certainly make a journal cover out of it. You know, like I would have, you know, some type of plain but fabric that will be complementary underneath here, that because you're going to see it, but you don't want too heavy of a pattern. What this allows, again, you know, because I'm so into slow stitching, right? Everything is slow stitching these days. Is that you can, you know, when you put this onto something, you can do extra things in between, in all these little holes. So it just gives you more opportunity to play. So I thought these were really good. So Thrifties, if you want one, I can add one to your box. Orange doily. So you see, the Thrifties are getting lots of stuff, or, you know, if they want it. This next one is not a sharing one. This one is for me. It's a table runner, but I looked at it and said, yeah, I'm going to get a few nice journals out of here. It's a heavier upholstery type fabric, and it comes with 2 tassels on it. So this was nice. This was $2. So I thought, oh, that's a score. I could see using this as part of a journal closure. But that would mean I will have to trim it down to the final size and have a strip of waist, because this is way too tall. I wouldn't make, well, I could make a traveler's notebook, but it's still about 11 inches tall. Yeah, it's about 11.5 inches tall, so it's a little too much for me. So I think I would probably trim it down if I wanted to use this as part of the closure. But it is a possibility. So it would look, you know, sort of squared off, and then this would be the little extra that wraps around and ties somehow. So that's an option, but for $2 I thought it was well worth it, and I will certainly use it with all the other journals I'm going to make. And then going back to that sewing that I thought was, these were $3 each. And this is another thing that I wouldn't hesitate to pick up anytime. Heat and Bond. I think this one was opened, and it looks like one little piece was cut off of here, maybe at the most. Yeah, not very much. It's a pretty good size. The roll is pretty good size inside, and it is 17 inches by 3.5 yards. So I'm pretty sure there's got to be at least 3 yards down here yet, at least. And I don't think this one was even opened. They are both in really good condition, and it doesn't look like much is taken off. So this one is the ultra hold and the light hold, and both of them I paid $3 each for, and I would have taken 10 of them if there were 10 of them for $3 each, because this stuff can be very expensive to buy brand new in a package. So yeah, I grab it whenever I can. And I use it under a lot of fabrics that where I don't want things to fray. You know, if I'm making something and I don't want that edges to keep coming off. It's nice to cut with. It's also nice to iron onto the back and put fabric through your Sizzix machine if you want to cut certain die cut shapes. The paper, I iron it on and I leave the paper on, and then I do the die cutting, and then I take the little paper off, and then I can iron it onto whatever it is I want to put it onto. Like if you're doing frames or, you know, appliques on something, and then maybe you're going to do some stitching after, then that's a way I would use the Heat and Bond. Now this one was $5. It probably indirectly was a little bit more than I wanted to spend, but because this, I didn't really want this, but I do like this. I will certainly use this. Thriftees, if you want a yard or two of these things, let me know. It's just a very, very thin cord. So I would offer, you know, a couple yards of each color if you like. And see, that's the fun about it is, you know, a thrifty could come along and say, no, I don't like silver, but I love gold, and or vice versa, or somebody would want both. But, you know, they can make that decision. And the reason I keep telling you this is if you want to get in line, you have an idea of the kinds of things that people are going to have the options to pick up. Now, it came with a bunch of trinkets. I will just add it into my stash. I'm not really, now it came with these in here, but it also came with extras. And this doesn't even look like it's been opened. I think this is one of those Temu jewelry kit things, or, you know, BB Craft jewelry kit things. I'm not sure. Well, I can take them out of here. They're in here too. They're very cheap little tin things that you know, you could use it to sort of crimp. Yeah, it's actually open on one end. Oh, you could actually open it up, I suppose. It's just a very, oh, look at that. It's a very thin tin. So Thriftees, if you want a handful of these, let me know, and I will put some of them in your box. Just say tin things and I will know. That's the fun part about it, is that I get to go back to the video and review what I called stuff. So tin jewelry pieces. So if you want some in gold or silver, but yeah, they flatten out pretty nicely, but it's just a very inexpensive metal thing. And it came with some seashells and some little charmy things. Nothing exciting. I don't even want to offer them to you. They're kind of chintzy. But the rest, if you want that and some of this cord, let me know. I'm going to use this for slow stitching, definitely. I don't think I would use it for tassels. It's too crispy. Does that make sense? I don't think it would flow nicely, but it would certainly be great to use for couching on slow stitching. So there's that. Tin things. And then this one was an impulse, and you know, on one hand it's good, but on the other hand not so good. I paid $3 for it, and I was caught up on this. I just said, oh, I wonder what, and and this, and I said, oh, that looks nice, but in reality, well, these are definitely scraps. So there are about, but they're not all. See, this is about 11 inches long. The only thing that's really interesting about these is that they are all, and I should just open it up and show you. They're all, every single one is a different color. So I guess it's is it a jelly roll? But they're not the same size. I don't think, I've only bought one jelly roll, but they're very cool batik type fabrics. And I will use them in as spot elements on my journals. I love the color combinations, so I may stitch some together. If you have a chance to watch Caroline's Craft Tree, Caroline is always linked in my journal, in my descriptions below. She is doing a series on slow stitching on crazy quilt pieces that she's made. Oh, they're just gorgeous, and I got one as a gift from her too recently. And so I may try doing some of that method to make these into journal covers. It would certainly be very quick to do, and all the pieces are pre-cut, and there's some beautiful fabrics. They're very boho style of fabrics. So I will just use this, but like I said, for $3, while the work is done, I probably have way enough fabrics in my stash to do this for 20 people. Not happening now, but someday. I also watched, there's a Carol Tinson, and I might be saying that wrong. I think it's Tinson, she's from Europe, in England, I think. I don't want to say for sure, but I think she's from England. She recently made a really cute clipboard that I am going to incorporate into some ideas I have coming up. So it will include fabrics and papers, but this clipboard is so adorable. So if you have a chance to look her up, her name is Carol Tinson. If I think of it, I will add her in my description below. Really cute project, and I would like to do that project one day. Oh, look, I have this fiber sitting here. That's kind of matchy. But yeah, I paid $3 for that. It was more than I would normally pay for something like that. But, I got caught up in the moment. And that happens to all of us, right? So, I do have the best for the last, which is a fun thing as well. So I got this big bag of threads for $3. I know. I am so happy when this happens. First of all, I collect these old wooden spools, and this one's an old one. Look at that. Dutch Tile Sewing Supply Limited. Canadian Sewing Supply Limited. I've never even heard of them, but I just love the color of that spool, and I have 2 of them. But I used all this thread. You would not believe the amount of thread I have. I have a big bucket of empty plastic thread spools that I plan to do a project with someday. But there are a lot of wooden spools in here, and I will keep them all for other upcoming project ideas. I've played around with them before, but it's been a while. But definitely fun to get color lots like this. Some of the thread is old, but for what we do, it is good enough. It's different if you're sewing garments and you want to make sure that you've got quality thread. Although I would say it's safe to bet that this thread is equally, if not better, than most of the threads on the shelf today. But there might be the odd roll that isn't so good. But for these polyester ones are made in China, cheapy stuff. But most of this is pretty good quality of thread. So I have no problem using this in my sewing machine, and it gets used up fast. And I'm always happy to find a great big bucket of different colors like this, and to find these spools like this for the whole thing for $3. These were the prize. I would have paid $3 just for the 2 spools. So this was definitely a prize for me. Everything was $2 and $3 this time. I don't know. So I'll put that out of the way. This next one, this was, I got this at a garage sale. This was $2 and this was 50 cents, I think. I take the tag off already. And this one was 50 cents. It's just construction paper. Great for our journal making. Put this through the printer. You might have to cut it down to size. I like leaving this somewhere where it's going to fade a little bit, and this is already faded. It's quite old, so you can see the edges are getting faded. But it goes through the printer and prints some really, you know, sometimes the ink does bleed a little bit, depending on your printer, and sometimes, you know, the colors become really faded. But this is great to print things like tickets or, you know, labels, because they just print and look so old. So don't rule out construction paper, and I paid 50 cents for this. And I do use a lot of the ivory color and the yellows. I don't know if this one has yellows or not, but there's lots of ivory in here. They are great for doing printouts of maps or ledger paper, or invoices, because they look like that type of paper of the day. Like this has got a little bit of aging and dark spots along the bottom. You may not be able to tell completely, but it is changing color. So these are fun to use to make it look like aged paper. So yeah, that great size. I'm not fond of them as a signature page as such. I use it more for the ephemera. Another thing that this is good, and I have some envelopes on my computer to scan one of these days, and when I do, I will scan them and make a free page, because when you print them out, they're great for making pockets. But because it's construction paper, I never really feel 100% confident with it as part of the structure of a journal. So I would like normally, if I'm going to use this as part of the journal, I will definitely back it with something and then stitch it. If I'm using it as ephemera that I'm stuffing in a pocket where I want it to be a little bit aged and wrinkled up, that's fine. But when it comes to the actual signature pages or pockets or belly bands, then I would use something else, or add this to something else so that it's not holding up in your journal by itself. But great paper for ephemera, you know, for making little tickets and little elements to put on your journal. And this is, I don't know what color this is called, the fall orange. Now, I recognize this tag. Is this Michael's, do you think? Anyway, I paid $2 for the package and a little bit. Well, they're both open, so I guess maybe one or the other. And this is felt sheets. I think they're 9 by 12. Do they have a size on here? No, but I'm pretty sure they're 9 by 12. I'll check one out to see. And I use this underneath a light fabric if I want to make a journal cover, because one, it stabilizes your journal cover. Yeah, they're about 12 inches by 9. So that's your standard felt pieces. This is really nice and crispy. They add a little bit of stability to your soft cover journals. Sorry. And it's a good backing, and so I would put my fabric on here, maybe stitch it down or stitch it around the edges or something, and then I can stitch on it if I want to do any stitching or adding things on. I can sew on the sewing machine on here, and so that becomes the back side of my fabric. For example, these little pieces here. Only because it's the right color. You know, if I wanted to glue or stitch all of these down over top, this is what the base is. I would use as the base. Ooh, I'm kind of liking that. Okay, I'll have to work on that. But that just gives you an idea. So this would be under my cover fabric. So when you fold it, that's the cover. But on the inside, I would then still put a lining on the inside of some kind, whether it be paper or fabric underneath, and then stitch all of them together. But I wouldn't do that until I've actually finished anything that has to be secured well before adding the backing, the lining to it. Does that make sense? Anyway, I have felt. I cut my own felt, but when I can find them in the different colors, I certainly grab them. I wouldn't put this under white, but I wonder how this would look under that doily. No, not quite the right color. Just gonna get it and show you. Not quite the right color, but this will just give you an idea of how I would use a felt as a lining as well. So this, well, it's actually not too bad depending on what you're going to put it with, right? So this, look at this placemat. So I could have this hanging down, and so that's actually not bad. Depending on the colors you're working with, because now I can just include adding things like buttons on every one of these. I can do some beadwork, add some other appliques on top. So yeah, there's a cover, and then it has a nice bottom to it as well. So that just gives you an idea of how I would use it. And now that I'm thinking about it, I might use it this way myself. So to my thrifties, if you want 2 sheets, I will give you 2 sheets. Just say orange felt. And yeah, now I'm not going to bother asking my thrifties if they want this. This is pretty generic. But if you really want some, you can let me know. But yeah, it's pretty generic. So I did pick up 2 saris, and I've already pre-cut them. But I'll show you my pieces first. And that's because the thrifties are going to be have an opportunity to decide whether or not they want some of these. So this is the first one, and this is the top of the tunic, and I paid $6 for this, and it was just a tunic. It was a very tiny girl. This is not very big. So by the time I was done cutting the other fabrics, there really was not much. Well, this is what is left for me to play with. But I kept this trim and the tassels, but it's enough for me. I have a lot of green fabric, so it really doesn't matter. But this, oh yeah, and there was this little strip as well. And inside the fabric is that lovely mesh lining that I always talk about inside here. So it's a fun fabric. It's one of those things, once you get one of these, you know what it's like. It's like a heavier weave of gauze or cheesecloth. It's a little bit heavier, but lovely to work with. It's one of my favorite things when I get a sari. So this was the skirt. Now this isn't all of it. This is half a panel. The skirt was gathered, and then it had another one down here gathered, and there were 3 layers to the skirt. And so I just cut them. So when you open this up, it's quite a big piece. And but unfortunately, because this was on the seam, you do lose part of the applique that's here. Do I have that on the right side? Oh, I think it's this side. Yeah, I think it's this side. Yeah, they look much nicer here, don't they? Yeah. So you do lose like the top and the bottom, but there's still like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think there's 14 in each of these panels, because this was only half the panel that went around the other half of the skirt, and there was altogether 6 pieces. So I cut them the way they gathered, like the next one gathered as well. And I wouldn't necessarily use this to cover an entire journal. It could be maybe the top portion, and then I could have another strip of something else down at the bottom. Oh, these are coming in handy, aren't they? So I could use it that way with felt or quilt batting or something underneath it. But it would certainly it would look nice. It's just not tall enough. It's only about 7.5 to 8 inches tall. Yeah, each layer. And because it was gathered, it's not like I could have cut it to make it longer. So there is, you know, that's how I could use it and then further enhance and decorate it with that idea. But really, I'm looking at it that these are beautiful little appliques that I can cut out, whether I cut them out as a piece like this to make a tag, or if I cut them close for a spot element or a tab, and these are great for slow stitching. You've seen me take little bits of nothing to use in slow stitching just to give you that little bit of extra color. It's kind of a mustard yellow, sort of like a Dijon to me. It's, you know, it's one of those odd colors, but it was with the skirt, and I guess the idea was that it picked up the little bit of yellow in here, which it's not bad, you know, but it was a lot of skirt. And so the tunic came down, so these layers were further down the dress. Yeah, I took it apart. I should have left it whole, but then I wouldn't have known how I was going to cut it up. So I think from now on, that's how you will see garments cut up, or how I show them. So there's that. And then it has this silky lining, but it was cut on a bias and there was not a lot of it. So I just tore it all up into strips for my own use. So that was one sari. And then this one was a little bit more in price. I think this one was $11. The top was $5 and the scarf was, I think it was either $4 or $5. So yeah, maybe it was $10. But they were priced separately. Now the top, there must have been more parts to this. I don't know where they went, but the top was like this. And, you know, I'm going to be able to get, you know, small pieces out of here that I can use for whatever, you know, as spot elements or parts. There's some cute little tassels here with some, you know, cheapy little embellishments on them, but they would still be cute. I could even use it like that to make a pocket in a page, just like that. So that this is the back of the dress, and then the front is just very, very plain. It has a button here. It's the trims. The trims are where I will get the most mileage. When you take apart a garment like this and you start opening it up, there's probably, you know, 10 to 12 inches worth of trim on here. So that in itself is quite nice. Again, I see that it goes with this fabric. I see a pattern going on here. I wasn't even planning it. But definitely a nice color combination, very fall-like. And so I will definitely use this. Now the shawl, that's what it was. It wasn't a skirt, it was a shawl. This is what it looks like at the bottom. And the pattern repeats. This is the same pattern. So you have this strip going. Now I only have, this is all I got out of it. Well, no, I have two pieces. Yeah, so there's a strip out of it. And this is the main piece of the garment. And it just repeated 6 times across the bottom. And then these little appliques are in between. So this would make a beautiful journal cover just folded up like that. And then the rest of the scarf went this way, and about halfway up the scarf for most of it was these little bits. So it's quite big. And then the rest of it is just this fabric. So I've made up the bundles for my Thriftees, and I will show you what the bundle looks like. And again, Thriftees, you can say yay or nay. So this is what I got out of the deal. And so here is what the Thriftees get. The Thriftees get, if they want, they get a piece. Now I'm not cutting all the seams and fixing all this up. There's a seam on the end here. That's up to you. So this one has buttons. I don't think the other ones have buttons. So whoever gets this one, it'll be a surprise. But here is the lining on the inside. And it is the full length. So you will have this whole lining to take off and use separately. And then on the front, you have that pattern. The pattern does have seams in it. You know, it was a tiny little dress, but they sewed it like it was, she was going to grow. I don't know. So yeah, so there's quite a bit of fabric again here, way more than the 12 by 15 that I've kind of said I would do. So there's the portion of the dress, the tunic. Here is that same panel, the same size as I have. It has about 14 full appliques on here this way. Now, when you're working with this, you're going to see that there's some different coloring. Some of the appliques, you're going to have to cut the threads because they've caught on things. So you just have to snip it or dab a little bit of glue on it. That's how they come. That's how it works. So you have a panel of this. And then I included 3 strips of the lining because, like I said, it really wasn't much. And it's really not the greatest fabric to work with, but it's perfect for clusters and snippets and things. There should be 3 pieces. Oh yeah, there is. There's 3 pieces here. So that's part of it as well. And then at the bottom of the front of the skirt and the back, yeah, was this trimming. So I trimmed it off. I got 2 pieces twice the length, so I just cut them in half. So each of my bundle comes with that. And then the second, you got part of the scarf if you want this, and it has, there's exactly what it has, is the one larger front panel and the little bits and pieces. And then you get all the stuff up to the halfway point, and then the other half, because like I said, I'm not going to cheap out on anybody and say, oh no, you can't have this half because that's more than, I'm just saying I guarantee you 12 by 15 because sometimes that's what I have to scrape through to get. And that's pretty much, well, with this other green fabric, you did get a little bit more, but it was barely, it was tiny. So that is part of the same bundle. And so all this together will be put together as one bundle. So if you want this, just say ethnic bundle, because they're not always saris. Some of them are just ethnic fabrics that I pick up, or, other clothing that is not really sari. I mean, sari is India, but there's clothing from other countries that are not really saris, but just beautiful fabrics. A lot of them cotton weights and with the linings and stuff, and they're gorgeous to work with and to further enhance. And I've had some Mexican fabrics and stuff from Colombia and all over the world. So Thailand. So I don't want to call them saris, but I will call them ethnic bundles. This lining is also good to use as a tie. It is very strong, but it does fray a little bit. But once you get past a few rounds, it doesn't come off. Or you could use, a heat tool and just kind of melt the edges if you want. Okay, so that is a bundle, Thrifties, if you want, say you want the ethnic bundles. And that's it for that. And that's it for my thrifty offers for the week. Now, this last item, I'll tell you, if I had $1 for every time I saw one of these, I'd be done. I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere and slow stitching my heart out. I wouldn't be thrifting anymore. But it clicked when I got this. Now, it's very dirty, so I have to wash it. It is, do you know what it is? Does it look familiar? This one has 3 drawers. And like I said, it's so dirty. I have to take it up and wash it really well. Oh, I see. I guess I have to put a little knobby under it. It must be missing a knob at the bottom too because it's crooked. But I've looked at them and I've looked at them and I've looked at them and I could not figure out how could I use this. Do you guys know how you can use this? Run with scissors to the thrift shops to find one. Because now it has to be modified a little bit, and I'm going to show you that. It holds washi tape. Oh my God, it holds washi tape. So now if I put the washi tape in like this, every time you do the drawers, it's going to be rolling out. It's going to roll over there. It's going to roll over here. But then I realized if I cut a piece of cardstock, give me a second. I have to do my whole demonstration here. So I measured, from the bottom of the drawer up to the edge here, and then across, and then the same thing on this side. So then I cut a piece, and this is conveniently just 12¼ inches long, which is perfect for all of my little offcuts from my paper strips that I use for washi tape, full washi tape. So when I cut it, I said, okay, 1¼ and 1¼ because that's what it was, by 1 7/8, I think. I can't remember, but I have the measurements written. So I cut a piece, and then I scored it at the 1¼ and I flipped over and scored it at 1¼ and then I slid this in, and it was too short. So it's like, okay, well, I guess I have to do a little bit more than 1¼ and 1¼ So if you find one of these, each one I'm sure is going to be different. So you'll have to take some time to figure it out. But I did, I did do the score thing with my scoreboard and scored it so it would sit. So then I said, okay, well, 1¼ So if I make it 1 3/8, that's just a little bit better than 1/4, right? 1 3/8 So I did 1 3/8 and 1 3/8, and it's still the same in the middle. And I slid this in, and this side fits, and this side doesn't fit. And I realized it's because it's lower than the one in the middle. So I just have to do a little bit of fine tuning to make it fit. And I can't do colors. I only did color because I wanted to show you for the demonstration. Well, I'll just leave it in color. But when I do this, I will do them all in plain, some kind of plain color. And I will fine tune to make sure that this does not stick over the top. And my idea is to have it nicely fit up to the top of the metal bars. And I'll just put a couple of pieces of Scotch tape or washi tape even, but most likely Scotch tape, just to hold it in place. It doesn't have to be super perfect. But now I can put my rolls in here, and they can go this way. If they're smaller, they can go, the other direction. It really doesn't matter. And if they're bigger, it doesn't matter how you fit, but you can fit, and this drawer pulls out almost all the way. So 3 rows times 3 drawers is way more than I have washi. The nice thing about the other part of it is on the top, I can have a basket for all that stuff that doesn't fit. Like I have Jen's beautiful little booklet, a washi booklet for when you want to take washi with you that she made. Love this, Jen. I love it, love it, love it. So I can have my little samplers in the top here. Sometimes if I want to looking for something and I want a quick color to work with, I can come and take this. But I can then have a little basket on top to hold all these stuff. A while back, Thelma had sent me some washi tape on a card. This, of course, would not fit nicely in my drawer because for me, it has to be either or. So these oddities I would put in a basket on top, and then I can have this on display, of course. And then all these other ones are, different kinds that I wouldn't work with. For example, I have a roll of a film. Projector film. Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about, the picture film, movie film. So this won't fit in here in the drawer. It would, but the height is too high. So these are the things that I would put in this little extra basket that I'm going to have on top. And then I also have, things like these adhesive mats, which I've discovered are the worst thing in the world. But, if I cut them up into strips as I need them for washi strips, then I can always glue them because they're horrible. They don't stay glued down. But I have 2 books like that. So anything that's odd, I can still have in the basket here, have this on top because it's the most decorative, and then have it on display on top. And it's also a good thing to remind me of all the other things that I have, like this really wide washi tape. But for the most part, all of my washi is going to fit in these drawers. And then, because it just gets better, right? So when you take this washi out, because I don't have this ready yet to do, I got to take it upstairs and wash it. But if I have these cardboards in here that are white so that I'm not distracted, I could actually make a whole drawer of strips, and I could, you know, I could make them a little bit more color coordinated if I want, although it really doesn't matter because I would probably pull them out and look at them anyway. But I can fill quite a few of those little strips in here, and they fit 12 by 12. So run with scissors and grab yourself one of these. And I'm thinking maybe I need two, because then I could have them stacked one on top or side by side. They wouldn't take up any room, because if they're on my counter, whatever is already on my counter can sit on top. So that is an option as well. And what a mess I'm making now. So I could definitely see using more than one of these. So now I'm on a mission to find a second one. And I can convert it all into drawers. Once this is secure and clean, then it will work nice. But for now, I'm just showing you. So that was a really great find. And again, I think I paid $5 for it. And yeah, certainly worth it. I will play around with it, and I know it's going to work well for me. So keep your eye out for that one. So that's it for my video. I hope you enjoyed this. Thrifties, make sure you leave your comments, do all your notes, and get yourself started. For my last Thrifty, I'm hoping that you're going to let me know for sure. And if not, there could be a spot open. So as a Canadian, if you want to get on the Thrifty bandwagon, then you have to go and leave a comment that you are next in line, so that I can put a list together for Canadians as well as Americans. So I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Bye for now.